that cancer journey is so lonely, especially that 3 months after going through it, when everybody has celebrated you and you're cancer free and all that great stuff. And it is wonderful. And they go back to their lives. And you are in this weird funk of, am I able to celebrate or am I still going to have cancer again?
I'm really excited to talk to you, Shay, today. This is Shay Moraga with Shay's Warriors, which I love your name. I love everything. And so let's just jump right in and tell me about your story, about what led you to creating Shay's Warriors, life after cancer. We obviously want to hear about if you want to talk about your cancer journey. And I think a lot of people talk about what they go through when they go through cancer, but very few people talk about life after cancer and the significant sort of split in the road that happens in many ways, but yet staying on track. So let's jump right in. It's all you.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for having me here today to be able to get to know you and the community and be able to share our story of the birth of Shay's Warriors Life After Cancer. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right away. Everyone has a story when they go through cancer, right? I was 38 years old, stage 3, triple negative breast cancer. I had never had a mammogram in my life because at that time, mammograms were 45 plus. Didn't have family history of that in regards to getting mammograms early. My mother and my grandmother did not have breast cancer, but I had 2 aunts on both sides of the family that did. So my first mammogram was really finding out I had breast cancer.
So when you were 38, you had your first mammogram? And that's where they found the cancer?
Yeah. So basically what happened is, to kind of back up a little bit, I had been going to a boot camp and working out. And, as a busy mom, right after a boot camp, I'd go do my errands, get groceries, hit the mailbox, whatever. And I noticed an itch on my right breast that was so crazy. Like I itched all the time. It just would not go away. And I remember at the boot camp, one of my friends said, Shay, why do you keep itching? You're all broke out. And I go, I know, this itch won't go away. I'm sure it's just because, like, let's face it, like I'm not going home right away and showering. I want like some weird funk. And so I went and I got a cream and I put the cream on and that subsided the itch for a while.
Like an antifungal?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? And so a few weeks later, it kept getting worse and worse. And I really didn't think at this time this was breast cancer, anything like that. I just thought it's an itch. And what I also noticed too, looking back, is the fact that my periods, my menstrual cycle really got heavy, really heavy and really dark and a lot of like clotting and kind of all that weird stuff. But the reason I say that so like vividly is because who knows that there might be a correlation of this, right? And this was a precursor.
It's definitely a sign of a hormone change, something that's different in your body. Yeah.
Something that's totally different. So I called my doctor and because I had just had my women's wellness check in October. It was the end of October of 2015, had my women's wellness check. We did everything. It was fine. And I also was one to do, self-check every month. So it's not like I had any lumps or bumps or anything, but I did tell the doctor, I said, I've had heavy menstrual cycle and, I have this itch that won't go away. Well, again, we just chalked it up to a fungal something. And I told her what I was using and everything was fine. So it was December 31st of 2015. I was sitting watching TV at night, waiting for kind of, the ball to drop per se on TV, right? And I had the sharpest pain in that right breast that I had ever had. And it was like someone had taken a knife and just stabbed me. And I remember screaming. And the people that were in the room, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, but my God." And I just was rubbing and rubbing because it really felt like I had been stabbed. And I went to the back bedroom and just did a little bit of, see if like maybe it was a blood vessel. I didn't know, but I just wanted to get it checked. And as I was feeling, I felt something very tiny, a very small pea size, hard lump. It didn't hurt. I tried to squeeze it. So I was like, maybe it was just something. And I was like, strange, right? I watched TV. Again, I just chalked it up to sometimes things happen as we're getting older. Maybe I'm in premenopausal type things. I'm starting to watch all this stuff unravel. As I was thinking and sitting in that chair that night, there was something inside me that just said, you need to call your doctor back and you need to get checked. All of this stuff is not what your body is normally like. And you just got to go back and get checked. And it was, I think I called like January 2nd and they left a message for a doctor to call me back. And then I called a week later because I hadn't heard anything for the doctor to call me back. And then another week went by. And as I was talking to the lady over the phone, she said, "How old are you again?" And I said, I'm turning 39. And she's like, "You just came in for your wellness check. It's fine." And I said, "Well, I just don't want it to be something like cancer or like something weird like going on. I really think I need to come in." And she said, "You're too young for cancer."
God.
Over the phone. How many times have you
don't
heard?
know how many women have told. I mean, this is the worst. This is like the craziest normal story. It's just
It is
you're so awful. Yes.
So I asked her, I said, "Please," and I was probably a little more pushy at this point because this was 3 weeks later. And I said, "I need the doctor to call me back. Otherwise, I'm going to come to your office and I'm going to sit there all day until she responds."
Yeah.
Well, it was like 7:30 that night. The doctor finally called in and I said this to her and she said, "Okay, maybe it's a cyst. Maybe it could be this, anything it could be." But she did take my concerns into consideration and brought me in. I think it was a week later. So now we're in the beginning of February of 2016. And I did another check with her and it was a self breast check. And she had done a self breast check before. So she didn't feel anything before either in October. Well, now in February, we're doing this and she couldn't feel anything. And I said, "No, it's here. Let me find it for you." And literally had to sit in a way that I was kind of sitting in this chair. And then she felt it because she said it felt like it kept going behind my breast tissue. And she made an appointment just to ease my fears and said, "We'll get you in." And, it was a week later, I got in it was a sonogram and the very first mammogram. And then a sonogram.
Was a mammogram an ultrasound or a mammogram?
Yes, ultrasound? Thank you. Yeah. Not a sonogram. Sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
But mammogram and ultrasound. And as I was in the mammogram, the tech said, "Do you have children?" And I said, "Yes, I have a 12-year-old. And she said, "Doctor will take really good care of you." And I was like, okay. And in my mind, I'm thinking she found something. And so then we went into the ultrasound. The doctor was there. And as she was, going over that right breast, the screen just lit up red and there was lots of moving parts. And I said, "So is that cancer?" And she's like, "I can't confirm or deny, but in the 30 plus years I've been doing this, I've never seen a vascular mass like this with so much blood moving around. So we'll get you in. You're definitely going to have a biopsy." And she turned around and told her tech, "Let's get her in stat." And of course, the word stat is like this word where you're like, okay, this is serious. And I left there and I just.
And meanwhile, 2 months had passed almost at this point. A month and a half had passed since you started to be alarmed. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So the following week, I got in on a Tuesday, I think, and it was literally by Thursday, I was getting my biopsy. I was being told I had stage 3, or not. They didn't tell me stage 3 at that time, but they definitely told me I had triple negative breast cancer, because obviously they can't stage it until they do the surgery and all of that. From there, it was a roller coaster ride of getting in and getting a port and starting treatment like the following week. So February 11th of 2016, I was diagnosed. And it ended up being 20 rounds of chemo, 38 rounds of radiation, and surgery too. So it was a challenging, but yet humble year. You understand at that point in life that you are no longer in control of your life. And whatever your beliefs are, you just want to live, to see your family get old and, see the life again and feel normal again. That normalcy is now out the door. You're in this fight and flight mode, right? But the one thing that I can say is going through that entire process of the chemotherapy and the community that kind of lifted me up when I felt so low in life was the fact that it was this epiphany of there is a life after cancer. There is a continue to look forward and be able to reestablish things. I mean, I met the most wonderful people in the chemo room every week because you share that day with them every single week and their stories, and you get to know their families and their friends and their life's journey. And you realize they have the same hopes that you do. And it's to leave that chemo room healed without cancer. And not a lot of people talk about that. And so then fast forward, doctor says, kid, you're cancer free. You're NED, no evidence of disease anymore. And that was December of the following year. And it was great. And that was like this huge celebration. And my community and my friends and family celebrated with me. And it was wonderful, right? And then 3 months later, I'm going back to the doctor to get a scan and to get that blood work to again tell me you're still cancer free. Your cancer hasn't returned. And this anxiety just ate alive at me. Every time I had a headache, a bone ache, anything, it was like, this cancer's back. And that was the aha moment for me. And a friend of mine, Eileen, who was our co-founder, that she had the same experience going through that 11 years prior when I did. And I just said, I feel like I'm going crazy. There's no support. Everyone has gone back to their lives. Like, what's going on? How do we move forward when you're still in this, oh my gosh, is my cancer going to return? I'm waiting for the shoe to drop because of maybe movies or stories that I've heard of and, the cancer returns and then that's it,
And you don't want to necessarily voice those fears to the people who are closest to you because my assumption, and I've heard before, because of so many reasons, right? You want to be strong. You want to look forward. You don't want to bring them all into this, swirl of anxiety and craziness in your head. But it doesn't make that swirl of anxiety and craziness go away just because you're not talking about it with your, some of your dearest friends or family or husband or children, whatever that saw you through that horrible year of treatment. But it doesn't mean it's not there. And so it's so hard to express and without sort of bringing everyone down. I think especially as women, we get that way.
We do. And as women, we're born to take care of people, right? Your mom or your dad or your grandma, they hand you a baby doll.
Yeah.
And you're always playing with the baby doll and get the baby dressed and this and that. Like
for me, it was Barbies. I loved my Barbies.
Right. Barbies, whatever
all
it is.
The dolls, yeah.
And Princess Leia and, all of that, the Sheroes. And, it's like, you want to, and you have this innate thing to take care of everybody. And so as women, like all of a sudden, when you're the one that needs to be taken care of, it's this, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it
And you
was
want to get back to not being that person as soon as possible.
right. And it was very, very hard. It was this, vulnerability that I've never experienced before in my lifetime,
Yeah.
But it was also the fact too that there is a life after cancer. To be able to do that, it was about my mindset, how I was training my mind to think. Am I going to continue to worry that the cancer's back and stay in that realm of fight and flight on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
Or was I going to do things that I could control, like eat healthy or healthier, go on the hikes or go on the walks or do my yoga that I wanted to do, that I also brought me joy prior to cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to the boot camps, spin class, whatever it was. And then also connecting with friends again, or reconnecting with ones that maybe kind of like I lost that cycle of going to lunch with them or just hanging out because I was too sick or I was tired, or frankly, I was scared of getting sick during a time where I had no immune system, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When Eileen and I sat down at lunch and talked about this, I said, I really do feel like I'm going crazy. So I'm going to go away to a yoga retreat. And it was kind of my 6-month thing. And I said, I'm going to just journal, get back to what things that I love doing, because I had taught yoga for many, many years and done retreats. And I went away, did the retreat. And as I was on my way home, I called her up and I said, I know what we're going to do. And she's like, what? And I said, we're going to do something that is all around life after cancer. Like, let's find, since there was only 2 of us that we found, let's build a community of women that understand what our process has been and be able to talk to them, because they are this safe space of understanding. And we don't have to burden our families or our friends who have not gone through cancer, because not that they're not a safe space, but it's really hard to explain to someone that you live in this realm now of, if that cancer comes back.
I'm assuming you also you don't want to have to explain yourself. Like, you just want to jump in and say, this is how I'm feeling, without the because, right? Like, and someone has that just base knowledge understanding. It's a different relationship.
Completely. So Shay's Warriors was already a blog that I started when I was going through my cancer. Every Thursday before my chemo day, I would write at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. Basically, I would just download all my thoughts and feelings, because at that time I thought, if I'm going to die, then I'm going to die telling my story on the authentic thing of everything and these feelings, and just give people an insight to what was going on in my head. And so that blog switched to, after I was done, it was life after cancer. And so we sat down with a nonprofit attorney and said, here's this idea we have. We'd like to put it together because we don't know anyone doing this. And there were places, I think, maybe on the East Coast, but it was really about going through the process of cancer, not necessarily the life after cancer process.
Yeah.
And there was no help in our local area. And so she put together this plan with us, and Shay's Warriors Life After Cancer was born. And we put the programs together on exactly what she and I talked about through my cancer journey and hers, and what she had wished she had had during her cancer journey, which was everything around the mind, body, and connection. Mindset is our Talk, Listen, Share, which is a program. It's educational. It's talking to people like you. It's talking to business owners, health and wellness people that want to share different things that do help people going through cancer or that life after cancer. That helps us heal even more body, our Move to Heal program, which is completely complimentary, whether it's online or in person. And that is yogis, it's Pilates instructors, it's spin instructors that know that if you're in our community, they get that complimentary for as long as they need to be able to get to that next stage of healing so that they can give back and help heal others too.
Mm-hmm.
And then that connection is our third program, which is Coffee and Connections. And that's our emotional support and accountability group. And that ties everything together because what it does is when people are coming and they're sharing a cup of coffee just very casually, they're also able to collaborate within community, that people that understand, but also have that accountability that, hey, are you doing your walks? Are you doing your checkups? Are you still going to get your mammogram? If it's that type of connection and community that we've built. And it's been really wonderful.
I love the accountability part. I think that's so important and easily overlooked. I've met so many women who have been through cancer and have survived, and they just sort of close the door and don't look back and don't talk about it, don't think about it, get it out of their mind. And I think there are many reasons why women do that in particular. We could, talk about all those. And a lot of them, never see a doctor again. They're like, done. I'm done with that. And I've heard success stories with that approach and really bad stories with that approach, where other things have happened. And so the idea of this community coming together of women pooling their strength and keeping each other accountable for, how are you doing today? What are you doing today, this week, this month to feel good and to be healthy, but also, go to, are you still getting your mammograms? Are you seeing your doctor on a regular basis? It's very overlooked of how impactful and important that is. And coming from someone who's on the same path or similar journey is really different than your husband or your partner or your doctor's office sending you the postcard in the mail,
Right.
which is like, toss that, So I think it's wonderful. It's just so wonderful. What has been in this post-cancer life journey of yours? What do you hone in on? What do you grab onto that's really been powerful for you to keep moving forward without being nutty all the time?
Well, first and foremost, I grab on to the fact that I get a chance at a second life. And in that second life, I want to reach out to as many cancer survivors or people going through cancer so they know that they're not alone. Because that cancer journey is so lonely, especially that 3 months after going through it, when everybody has celebrated you and you're cancer free and all that great stuff. And it is wonderful. And they go back to their lives. And you are in this, or I was in this weird funk of, am I able to celebrate or am I still going to have cancer again? Like
It's like in limbo. It's like a weird limbo.
Completely. It's a weird limbo. It's like the Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah.
And so what I grab onto is the hope that there are others that find us, because being able to have this conversation or have many conversations like this is one more person that understands what we do and how we do it. And if I'm scared, I can call you up and say, I need some accountability today. I need you to talk me down from the ledge because I'm freaking out, because we already have a bond because of what we've gone through. And that is huge and important. And so when we do our I Am Hope retreats, and there's 30 women and 40 women that are at these retreats, they get this space to be for 4 days. And they get the chance to connect and collaborate and hear each other's stories. And they don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about insurance or doctors or anything. They just get the downtime to be able to have these strong women understanding, bonding friendships that they can walk away with.
Mm-hmm.
And then that builds from there.
That's amazing. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean,
And when I see it, when I see it with our team, it's I can only explain like it's a beautiful rose garden that blooms at the very end, all different colors, because cancer is gross. We know this, but I personally have learned a lot from it, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a death sentence. And there's a lot of learning that goes along with it. And there's a lot of bonding. And some of my best friends now are from my cancer journey. So there's a lot of beauty in it too, which is kind of like I say a rose because, a rose grows out of a thorn, right? Or, that you kind of get it. It's like this beauty, but then it's a beast too, right?
yeah. Yeah. You can prick yourself on it, but you can also smell it and enjoy it. And it's beautiful, but it can be bittersweet. Tell me about the community and how it's grown and like how many people are we talking and how many retreats, like all, this is when you build something like this. And I, speak to this also. It's when you're in it and you're moving forward, you don't like rarely take a step and go, oh my God, this is like a major community I've built and this is a major movement I've started. Do you do that? And when you do that, what do you see? What does it look like?
Yeah. Funny that you say that. Somebody asked me about that the other day. They're like, do you realize what you've done? And I'm like, no.
Right.
If I stop and think about it, yes, it's amazing. But I don't look at it as what I did.
Yeah.
I look at it what our community has done and grown. And maybe I had the vision and the courage to start it.
And bring
But
it all
it's
together. That's,
yeah,
you can't diminish that because first of all, a lot of people have great ideas and not everyone does them, but also just the bringing it together. And it often takes one really, brave person to do that, to bring it all together and bring all these women together.
yeah. We've got thousands in our community. They're from, I think, our farthest people who have joined us on some of our coffee and connections, like in France and New Zealand. That was
Wow.
during the pandemic because that's when we started our online things. We did 2 retreats online those 2 years. And then this will celebrate 5 years of in-person retreats. Our I Am Hope retreat, Survivors retreat, is 4 days and 3 nights. It is open to anyone, mainly Coachella Valley residents, but we always have a gentleman who brings 5 women from outside of the area. And they've come from as far as Connecticut and Georgia, Minnesota, and Northern California, Utah. So it's been great. It's been a really great experience. We've served over 600 plus coffees. We've done over 100 plus educational YouTube shows, and 200 women have been fully supported in going to that. No cost to them at all. That's what our organization does. And then we've taught over 2,000 plus Move to Heal classes. And I feel like we're just getting started. So when I look at those numbers and speak those numbers, I think, wow, that's a lot. And it has been a lot in 8 years. But I don't know. It's this innate thing in me that's like, we can do more. We can do more to help survivors. We can collaborate more to help survivors. We can build more community so that more survivors know about not only Shay's Warriors, but about what you're doing as well. And it takes a village, and we're all part of it. I'm humbled and I'm blessed every day that I get to see someone thrive in this life after cancer process.
It'll continue to grow. If there's something you could add, do you ever think about that? What would you add into that mix in the next 5 years?
I would love to take all of our ladies up to where you're at and do the run, do the walk with you. Have that down here too, or whatever. Like to be able to help expand and do that. Like, yeah, I think that would be it. Because the more people that know, the better that we can create change among the cancer survivorship community.
Yeah.
And also research too, which I know that you all do. So
it's interesting when my mom was going through cancer, one of the things she learned that she didn't know was how competitive cancer centers, hospitals, doctors were with each other. And the lack of collaboration at that level really like shocked her. And they're all vying for the same dollars, right? Either from government grants or individual fundraising, whatever. And I really tried to continue to keep that mindset with everything we do, because I think collaboration is like the key to reaching more people and to find like-minded organizations that want to do this, even if it's not the same path, but it like, crosses and crosses across each other. To me, that's just so beautiful. And to be able to open yourself up to say, I love what I'm doing and I'm doing so much, but I want to work with other people who are doing similar things that we can all learn from. Like, to me, that's really important for sure. And I think it's hard when you're running a nonprofit because you're like so focused on raising money and making it work that often gets lost. And I've had interesting experiences over the last, 28 years of organizations where like the collaboration didn't work because of the like little itty bitty competitiveness. And I was so frustrated. And I've definitely learned to let that go and to never give up on always reaching out and always working with other organizations, because you can't do it all, right? So we try to, whether it's, being a full-time mom and working full-time and taking care of your house and doing everything and showing up to everything. Like you can't do it all, but you also within your organization can't do it all. So you focus on the hole that you needed to fill, which you did, but bringing in like padding around the edges, I think is pretty awesome.
Thank you. You said it again. Collaboration is key.
Yeah.
And if we as a society are going to change things, we have to walk away from that competitiveness and say, okay, you know what? Our organization is really strong doing this. And we would love your support by this, this, and this. And we know your organization is really strong at doing this. And we want to support you with this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
That's collaboration.
Yeah, totally. 100%. One of my board members from the beginning said, you have to find the need and fill it. Like that's how you have long-term success as anything, as a nonprofit, as a for-profit, as a business corporation, doesn't matter. If you can find a hole that needs to be filled, even if it's being filled by someone else, but you're going to do it differently and how you're going to do it will make, really fill it and help people or grow or whatever it is. Like that's the key. And never be afraid, to look to people who are smarter than you in areas that you're not, or doing other things that are really interesting. Like just don't be afraid to say, I need your help, or I want your help, or I want to work together. And I remember when he gave me that advice, I was so young. I thought that was so silly. I was like, isn't that like, no, like, isn't that obvious, And he said, no, it's not. People don't like doing that. So don't be afraid to. And I agree with that. I hope we always have more collaborations. And one of the reasons I love this format and this podcast is being able to find other people who are doing such wonderful things in this larger cancer journey space. So it's pretty awesome. How do people find you? Word of mouth? Like how are all the women coming to you?
We're on social media, heavily on social media, and our website, I hope, speaks for itself, shayswarriors.org. We have an amazing international illustrator who is also an amazing family member who really gifted us this beautiful, colorful space based on reading some of the blogs that I had written and being able to talk to her and saying, I don't want to be like everyone else. If we're going to do this, I want us to be different. And I want people to see what I see now in that after cancer journey, which is more color. Like life is beautiful after you've been something, whether it's cancer or a car accident, like trauma, right? You see the world differently. And you've now put on these beautiful rose colored glasses and it's like, wow, like I get to do this. I get this second chance at life.
Yeah.
And so social media, Facebook, Instagram, gosh, I don't know, Spotify, YouTube. And
I love
then,
it.
but our website is shayswarriors.org. That's the
Love
best
it.
way to reach us.
I always find the if you can get through trauma, and then if you can do one thing afterwards, which is let go of all the shit that doesn't matter, you've won, you know? And I think that is such a easy thing to say and a hard thing to do. And I would never wish trauma on anyone, no matter what it is, going through cancer yourself, losing a loved one to cancer, whatever. But if it happens, it just does. That's a fact of life. And if you survive it, I think if you can walk away letting go of the shit that doesn't matter, it's pretty powerful because it allows you the space to focus on what does. And clearly you've done that. And it's really awesome. So I really am excited to work together and do more things together and find ways to share resources and just help the women who are going through life after cancer. So thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story. There's a lot of lessons to take away from your story, pre-diagnosis up to diagnosis and the almost year that you were in treatment. And then, of course, this incredible organization that you've built afterwards. So thank you so much for sharing that. It was absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you for reaching out and giving us the opportunity too. So I look forward to doing more.